So right now I have my toolbar on here, so I can always go to Window, Workspace, and all this stuff clicking in here. These are all different pieces. I can just click back to Essentials, or I can just drag this over back to this way. So pay attention on the screen there, and let me show you how this can happen. So the Layers panel, again, has the guides, and it has the logo on it, and it's the top layer that I'm working on. The ruler guides allow me to bring down a segment on this, and the lockbox next to it, I'm just going to put in a couple ruler guides just for this beginning. And the ruler guides are located at the top in the rulers. When you go to View, your rulers, Hide or Show, or Command R on the keyboard is going to give you this section to show or hide the rulers. And I'm just going to click and drag, and it's just a guide. It's set at blue right now. I'm just going to go to a top and a bottom section up here just to give me a couple kind of variations that I can stop at, that I know that's where I want to go. And then I'm just going to lock the guides and go back to this section and hide the layers. And I'm going to use the pen tool again, just because it's drawn out. So I'm going to click on this guide. James, pay attention over here. You hear me? Click in here. Here's the midpoint of this piece right here. So I'm just dragging that handle down. And I'm going to come down to this ruler guide I just made, and it'll snap to it. And you'll see that it has this section of being white on the outside, so I'm going to turn that off. Pay attention. I come all the way to this section on the right. Sarah, can you tell her to take her headphones off and pay attention here? And I come up to this part on the curve, so I'm going to come to the midpoint, drag these handles out, and go right up to the ruler guide here, and click, and go all the way to this part. So this overall section is I have this piece, and it's one shape, all solid black. The next part is to look at these pieces that are cut out. So I'm just going to cut them out and then use the shape builder to take them apart. So I'm going to hold the Command key and click off of it. And in this case, I'm going to come outside of the guide here and just come down to this section. I want to kind of make this, I'm going to curve it a little bit, and it'll set this curve right here. And I'm going to come all the way back to the top and build this up. And the idea is you're trying to get the least amount of points onto this shape. So that's the top piece, and that's going to be a hole that's cut out of there. I'm going to zoom into this one so you can see it. I'm going to start with the corner point. Come down here, maybe arch this a little bit. And again, you're trying to look at the sensitivity of the artist that made this, see how they're illustrating this. Here, I'm going to come up here and make this curve and close this one using Command minus. Doing this one here, so just clicking, setting the point, letting go, coming down to this curve, and setting this curve right here. So I'm clicking and dragging the handle. It puts two handles out, allows me to make that initial selection. So that's that piece. And this part that kind of has this eye shape, just going to click, drag some of the handles out. And it allows me to draw that shape. Here I'm just using the space bar to move this up. Dragging these handles out here. And this one is touching down at the bottom, so I'm going to make it a tangent shape right there. Let's see if I can clip that out of there. And come all the way up to this height to make that curve. Okay? So just to show you what I have, I'm going to back up. I'm just going to select all of these by just clicking a bounding box around as long as it touches most of the items there. And I'll just give it a color so you can see the difference. There's a pink color. This inside pieces, I'm going to click on them with the Shift key just to select them. And give them, I'll do just a couple just to show you the difference of it. Make sure I don't have that one selected. I'll give all these guys a little different coloring, just to mix it up a bit so you can see it. And do this guy here. So now there's a tool in here called the Shape Builder. And it looks like a little snowman on the side. When you click on it, there's three tools. The Shape Builder is the one you want. And I'm just going to select all of these pieces. And then when the mouse goes over it, you can hold the Option key and it'll take them out. And so it's just eliminating them as you go through it. So now I have this piece all sketched out. So I just put a copy of it over here just so you can see it against the gray background. Now the last part is just creating these eyes that you see. So I'm going to take the pen tool again and go right in the middle of this stroke that's there to represent this eye-like shape. It is a fill, so I'm going to take the fill off. And click here, and that gives me that line. Why this is highlighted, I can select, I have the control panels. If you don't, the window up at the top is going to give you the control panel. I'm going to increase the stroke a little bit and come back and do it again. So Command just click, and here I'm just going to click on this section here, and then it'll give me that piece. And with the selection tool right next to it is called the Direct Selection tool. When I click on that point, it goes right up to the top. So now I have this last piece that I can just actually make a shape with the pen tool. So I'm just going to click on this, click to set it as a corner point, and just kind of trace it right back down to its origin. And just swap this color out, and that gives you that piece. All these sections that you see that look like eyelashes, I'm going to go to the Line Segment tool, which is the fourth down from the right. And just click and drag. Click on the default. Here's the stroke. And up at the top, I'm just going to give it a little thickness to it. And right next to the control panel where it says stroke, I'm just going to click on the cap, which makes it a round edge to it. And so now when I draw that shape, it has that preset. It makes that little segment to it. Just going to hold the space bar down and come down to this section that has a little bit larger eye shape. Take the pen tool, and I'm going to click right in the corner there, and that's going to set this page. I'm going to click on this one to get the outside edge of this.
Ambassador letters.
Okay, thanks, Becky. And clicking down here to set this, so that becomes this eye shape. Okay? So now, if I just click, I can increase this part. Also, when you click on the stroke, there's a palette down at the bottom that I can change this stroke to make it thin or thick, this profile view. So you can get an idea of that, or you can just keep it at none. And that's kind of giving you that piece. There's the thickness to it. Take the pen tool again, and just kind of do this shape. It looks like the iris section right there. And with the pupil, I'm just going to create using the ellipse tool, and just swap the color. It's fill and stroke. And then for this highlight, just kind of click it up there. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit and switch this out so it's thin, and I'm going to fill this with white. I'm going to change the profile right up to here. And zoom out. So now I have the same line segment tool, so I'm just going to click the one and come down here so I can see both of them. And there's this tool called Eyedropper Tool. It looks like a little eyedropper. And while this is selected, I'm just going to click on this stroke up here, and it'll give me that same preset. And from that point on, any shape that I draw is going to have the same stroke thickness and the little round end caps down below it. this eye shape here. Now, as you look at this as a logo, you could see, well, what are the color changes going to be? What are the choices going to be? Those are things that you can kind of add to later, but just kind of showing you this overall segment. There it is, set to the black. So again, you can take a look at the fill color up at the top. I'll give it just a blue just to show you. But there's this library too that has gradients, and you'll get into some of that. But just to show you where it's at, when you click on sky, for example, it may blend in like this to give you this gradient. And as we get further into this, you'll see some of the different variations that you can create with it. So to help you with some of the coloring choices that you can make. And then in the layers panel, just hide the bottom two layers. Select the tab key so it's deselected there. And then on this part, you're able to then make this a selection Command Shift 4. And just draw a box. The space bar allows you to reposition and place that in.